Hello everybody, welcome back. Michael Oskam from Write, Record, Mix. If you saw the first video I put out a little while back, it was me explaining how to use the multi-out option inside of Logic when using EZdrummer. And there was a little bit of interest in someone asking how do you do this in Superior Drummer. I mentioned it's pretty much the same, but that there are a few caveats to it. So I figured, hey, someone wants to see it, let's put it out. I'm going to dive into Superior Drummer 3 and the slight differences, but important differences that you need to know when using the multi-output option inside of Logic. So if you've not seen the first video, you may want to go back and check that out just so you can get caught up, but I will kind of rebuild the session here. We're going to move quickly through the first part just so I can get to the main differences. That's coming up. Stick around. Alright, as mentioned, my name is Michael Oskam. Write, Record, Mix is the channel you're watching. If you get value from this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like, drop a comment, all those fun things. Let's dive in. Alright, as you can see here, we are inside of a clean Logic session. I'm going to move rather quickly through this because, like I said, it already was covered in the first video. I'm actually going to create a software instrument, and I'm going to put Superior Drummer 3 on there for now. We'll go ahead and click Create. Let it do its thing. And then what we're going to do is, before we mess with that at all, I'm going to come down here. Yep. And I'm just going to make sure that we are going to instantiate, there's that word again, the multi-out, and that's what I had on there. Okay. So it may launch the stereo version. Just make sure that you're running the multi-output version. As mentioned in the first video, if you by mistake build your whole session out using the stereo instantiation of the plugin, you can switch it to the multi-output and you won't lose anything. So, but sometimes it's good to just start like that from the scratch. Okay, so if we come into Superior Drummer and we look at there, well, let's find a kit we like. My favorite kit is, I have a lot of like add-ons, as I'm sure most of you guys probably do too. It's like addicting buying all these kits and sample packs and everything. It's awesome. But I like the Country Rock Punch. That's my favorite kit. I make a few tweaks to it here and there depending on the song. My favorite snare is the Noble. Let's go into here and find a groove we like. Let's do American Rock Grooves, and we'll do Uptempo 4/4. Perfect. And we're going to drop this onto the timeline here. And that'll be that. Turn a loop on and we'll get going. So now, as was discussed in the EZdrummer video, this is all the same. We're going to come into our mixer here and we're going to click the plus button down here a bunch of times. And because this is going to have more options, you may want to load up quite a few. As you may recall, you can take them away once you've routed everything and you realize maybe you have too many. Geez, you can take them away, but I'm just going to, that's probably too many if I'm being honest, but it doesn't matter. Then we're going to come in here to the mixer. And this is where things are different. Okay. You know what? It wouldn't hurt actually to load up EZdrummer as well, just so I can show you the differences side by side so it makes perfect sense. I'm going to load EZdrummer here. I'm going to pull this up. And we're going to make sure we're on the mixer section, which we are. I'm going to pull up Superior Drummer next to it. And what you're going to notice is one looks a little bit more complicated than the other, because it is, but it doesn't mean it's really that difficult to understand once you know what it is that you're looking at. So inside of EZdrummer over here, you'll notice that the channels are simplified. Now, this is an EZdrummer 2 patch, and so they do give you a little bit more flexibility and options inside of more of the EZdrummer 3 patches. So it kind of depends on what version you're using. But just to illustrate the point, I think this is the best way to show it. You'll notice here that we have kick, snare, hat, toms, right? If you watch the first video, this all makes sense. We changed the outputs. These are essentially buses inside of the plugin, and it'll make sense in a sec. If you look at Superior Drummer over here, and we actually have multiple mics for each instrument. So in here, it says output, whereas in EZdrummer it says out 1 2, out 1 2, out 1 2, and we can switch them. Over here it says output kick, 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 then snare, snare. And you're like, huh? Right? But so one of these is a kick in mic, one is a kick out mic, one is a kick sub mic, one is snare top, then snare bottom, and so on, right? Inside of EasyDrummer, it's just those are all summed together into a stereo output or like a bus. Okay, and you're just getting the sum of those three mics, and they don't let you really rebalance them. Here, inside of Superior Drummer, they do, which is awesome. Okay, but you're wondering, these say out 1, 2, this says kick, kick, kick. Where is it going? Well, that's where the busing, internal bus routing comes in inside of Superior Drummer. If we scroll over to the right, here in the orange, yellowish orangish, you'll notice there are little bus channels: kick, snare, hat, toms, overhead, etc. That is where these are being sent to. So the kick in, kick out, kick sub are all being routed to this kick channel, and you'll notice that the output on that is 1 and 2, right? And snare is 1 and 2, and hat is 1 and 2, and that's where we can alter these, okay? So if you like the sounds that Superior Drummer is giving you, you can actually kind of just treat it like EasyDrummer and route the buses out to your mixer. Okay, I could take this kick out, or excuse me, output 1 and 2 can be kick, output 3 and 4 can be snare, 5, 6 can be hats, 7, 8 can be toms, right? 9, 10 can be overheads. Let's just say we mute the rest for now, okay? And also notice too, there's processing going on inside of this mixer. Over here, we don't have any plugins. We kind of have macro controls down here. We can dial up more reverb. We can increase the compression. We can change the pitch of the head. But these are like macro controls, kind of like in Logic when you have control that you can bring up below that kind of control multiple parameters. Whereas in Superior Drummer, I have individualistic control, nitty-gritty control, so to speak, over everything, right? Now, that includes reverb. We have reverb sends. We have compression, transient designers, EQ, all of these things, okay? So if you like the sound of the kit, just to remind you, which sounds like this, if you like that, more power to you, my friends. You can simply just route the rest of this out. 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 16. And now, these are all being routed to my channels out here, and I can balance them. And for proof of concept, my snare, top, bottom, right? You can hear the bottom and the top. Those are summed together through the snare channel, right? And then you can rename them as I showed you before. But why would you buy Superior Drummer if you didn't really want to get in there and set it up as if it were actually recorded inside of a professional studio? For those of you who have recorded drums inside of a studio, you know that a typical miking scheme does include kick in, kick out, kick sub. It does have snare top, snare bottom. Sometimes even toms are mic tom top, tom bottom. A lot of T's there. Tom top. That's fun to say. Sometimes you'll have stereo overheads. Most often you do, but then you may have a stereo pair of room mics. You may have a mono room mic. You may have an over-shoulder mic. Like there's all these variations of mics that you can use and have at your disposal to get the sounds that you want. So I would imagine then that most people, I'm making a lot of assumptions, I suppose, in this video, that most people would rather just, instead of routing the buses out, they'll route each individual instrument out to its own channel. And let me show you how to do that, okay? All right, so if we come in here, we have kick in, right? Well, let's make kick in output 1 and 2. Let's make kick out 3, 4. Kick sub 5, 6. Snare top 7, 8. Snare bottom 9, 10. And we'll just keep going. Hi-hat 11, 12. If you really, because I'm going to run out of channels here and I don't want this to take all night, like maybe I'll just make all the toms a stereo pair, right? We'll send all toms through 13, 14. So I just have one fader to control the overall level of the toms. And then you can always go into the mixer inside of Superior Drummer to rebalance those toms, right? And then let's see, we had 13, 14, and then we have overhead dynamics. We have 2 pairs of overheads. Overhead dynamic mics and overhead condensers, right? Let's, again, for simplicity's sake, just sum those out of the same output, 15, 16. But again, you can split them out over the whole mixer and really dial it in. Then we have a bunch of ambience mics. We have ribbon and then a high mic, which is probably like a mono crush mic maybe. Yeah, it has a compressor on it. Let's do that. 16, 17, 18. What's the last channel I created over here? 19, 20. 1920. And then let's not use these. We'll mute these out. Okay, so now when I hit play, oh, and by the way, I would then come in here if you wanted to really just have it be the clean recording, just disable any plugins that they have instantiated on the channels inside of the mixer and the sends as well, like that. Okay, so now when I hit play, I am getting just the mics. And similar to how I portrayed it in the last video, I would come in here and option click everything to set all these to nominal, and then I would be able to fully balance the kit the way that I want. That's going to sound like garbage. And as before, you could come in here and you could you should rename all of these tracks. I'm not going to take the time to do that. You get the point, right? This is kick out, kick sub, snare top, right? Snare bottom, right? Hats, and then down we go, and you understand kind of what I'm doing here. So that's the way that you get absolutely dialed in control, is inside a Superior Drummer, and you actually break out all of the different mic channels that they had on the mixer when they were recording these kits, and it's awesome. I mean, if you put together the grooves from the pack of grooves that you get, I mean, you are getting grooves that were played by a real professional drummer on a professional drum kit in a professional recording studio with the top of the line mics, top of the line preamps through a top of the line console. I mean, it's awesome. And then you're able to process it just as you would if you were actually the recording engineer. It's so cool that Toontrack brought this to us. I'm not paid by Toontrack, I assure you. I just think it's a phenomenal tool, and you can really go in here and dial it in. Now, you may do this and never be able to make it sound good. If that's the case, subscribe to this channel. I'm going to show you a bunch of drum mixing techniques and stuff. But for the time being, you might find it to your benefit to just route the buses out because you like the sounds and the processing that they did inside of the plugin. There's nothing wrong with that. But still having control over the level of those buses would really be able to would really allow you to dial in the mix the way that you're hearing it inside of your head, right? Because I would always find that's the challenge for creative people like us, songwriters. They hear something in their head, and the challenge is to get that sound onto the canvas, so to speak, into your DAW, and get it to actually sound like what you're hoping it would sound like. And the better you get at engineering, mixing, recording, producing, arranging all of these things, the better you'll be able to get it, or the closer you'll be able to get it to what you're hearing inside your head. So, as you may remember then in the other video, I highly suggest you watch it if you haven't already. I'll say it again, because I show you in that video how to take it from the auxiliary channels to then recording them to audio channels, so you can actually be working with audio and you're not working with MIDI, and you don't have all these blank channels in your edit window, but rather you have waveforms in there that you can edit and deal with. So a lot quicker video, because as I said, I covered most of it in the first one, so make sure you watch both so that it makes total sense to you. But those are the differences between Easy Drummer and Superior Drummer when you're using the multi-output in Logic. Again, like I said, not that big of a difference, but big enough to where if you didn't know, you didn't know, and you might be a little bit confused by it. So hopefully this helped to clear that up. If it inspired you in any way to go out there and get creative, write more music, produce more music, then I did my job. Until next time, keep writing, stay creative, stay hungry, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.